Hey yo, welcome back to AIW's The Card is Going to Change. My name is Ronnie Two Legs. As always, I'm here with AIW owner John Thorne. What's up, Thorne?
Oh man, been a rough recovery time.
Yeah, it's been a busy couple days for AIW, that's for sure.
Oh yeah, dude. It's so hard to like come down, you know what I mean, and sleep. And then, like, finally, like, I got some good sleep in yesterday, but I've just been tired all day, you know?
Yeah, it was a long weekend for most of us. We had AIW's Bow Down at the Masonic Temple in Cleveland, and then we had some dream come true. Two dreams coming true in 2 days there for you, Thorne, because I know running that big room was something you had on the list there, and flea market wrestling at the Hartville Flea Market on Saturday morning.
Talk about just keeping yourself humble, you know, like not even on purpose. It's
back
like
to back, dude.
It's like, you know, but that's what I always tell, like, you know, that's what I always tell the students at the school is like, hey, you want to know what happens, like, if you wrestle for this X, Y, and Z promotion, and they go, what? Like, I think it's like I'm gonna tell them some like big secret. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's
the
like,
key to wrestling.
The key, like, it's like the key that's going to unlock everything. I say, hey, you know what's going to happen if you wrestle at this place? And they're like, what? I say, you got to go to work on Monday still. And like, they just look at me like, what? I'm like, you have to have that mentality. You know what I mean? Like, you can't let yourself like get up into the clouds like that. And like, you have to remain grounded. And I tell everybody that at the school, and like it's always like the same reaction. Like they just like are looking at you like, you know, like a puppy dog. Oh my god, I'm about to finally learn, you know what I mean? Like I'm about to learn this like the deep secret to the, you know, the secret society that does professional wrestling. Like it's like and then it's just like, oh, you got to go to work on Monday still. And they just like look at you like, what?
John Thorne, third member of 9 to 5, sounds like.
But it's like
that's like their whole MO.
But it's like, man, like how funny is like we stumbled into this like dream come true Friday night, which was just unbelievably stressing everybody out, especially me. And then it's like you got to wake up first thing in the morning. You got to drive to go wrestle in front of 200 people at a tent outside a flea market.
That room, like when you first told me too, because you just casually slipped it in there. We're talking about something, and then you're like, "Oh yeah, and we're in the big room tonight." So there's that, and I was like, "What? Like really, for real? Like that's happening?" And you're like, "Yeah." But then yeah, the flea market though, man, I loved it. That was when you told me about that, I was extremely excited. Stuff like that is awesome to me. We took a walk around that place after, like it's just.
I was there for a while. I was there for like a good 2 hours.
There's a lot to see. It's huge.
I know. I was there for a long time. Bought a Chinese throwing star.
Yeah, immediately started buying weapons. I love that.
Yeah, I think Arthur MacArthur might have bought a shotgun or something. He bought some kind of weapon. I know he definitely got a butterfly knife. People were just walking out of there fully armed. I'll tell you that.
I know Dom was eyeing up a pair of nunchucks for sure. Nunchucks or however you say it. He was eyeing up a pair of chucks for sure.
I know he bought brass knuckles and he bought a Chinese throwing star as well.
Oh, fantastic.
I mean, people were just walking out of there armed to the teeth. I mean, fucking, if you want to fuck around and find out with a member of the AIW roster, that was, I'd think twice if you knew that they wrestled at the Hartville Flea Market on Saturday.
It's disappointing that Jizz Fest is no longer a thing with Kaplan. You know what I mean? We could take get a bunch of logs out there and everyone start whipping their throwing stars at the logs and fucking going crazy out there for Kaplan's big old party.
It's been rebranded. Kaplan's gone a little politically correct. It's now called J Fest. Spooky J Fest. It happens.
Okay, yeah. We can bleep it if you feel. I don't want to blow Kaplan's cover there or anything. But yeah, that we should do that. Everyone bring their weapons to Spooky J Fest, dude.
Yeah, he's moved it to October. But
that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's which is funny because at I mean, we're going to probably bounce all over this place, but at First Stop, Steve Guy came up to me and he's like, do you know where we were on this date 6 years ago? And I was like, no. He was like, we were at J-Fest.
Yeah, because wasn't it the same like weekend every year for a while?
The same. It was the night of Chandler's funeral.
Okay, so yeah.
So like, we did the funeral. Then we had a ring rental, which we all had to go do.
Jeez.
And then a bunch of us drove to Kaplan's, and Kaplan did a 10-bell salute at 1 o'clock in the morning to Chandler Biggins with the ring bell.
I've heard that story before, the 10-bell salute. And then didn't he say a little bit or something? Like he had talked a little bit.
Yeah, I don't remember what he said, but he like said a couple words. And like there's like Kaplan is like...
His regular friends were there? Like,
yeah, like Kaplan is like... Kaplan had no less than like 150 regular civilian friends in his home that had no... They probably don't even know that he's a fucking wrestler. They had no idea what the fuck he's talking about. And he gives like what's it called when you talk at a funeral?
Like a eulogy?
A eulogy, yeah. He gives a eulogy and then pulls a ring bell out of his garage, which who the fuck knows where that came from.
He just had one.
And then he does 10 bells.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But yeah,
that guy.
It was quite the weekend for sure. I mean, lots of craziness going on, lots of stress, and like the flea market, and then it was just it was all over the place. It was so weird though to like on Saturday I was like home at 4 o'clock. And I'm like, what do I do? Like
being done that early, yeah.
How do you after party at the fucking from the matinee? You know what I mean? Do you like go to brunch or something? Like
I thought the flea market Chinese throwing stars was like that. That was the after party. Walking around that place with the boys was the after party, in my opinion.
I know, but it was just so weird. Like I was like home at like 4 or 5, and I'm just like, now what? You know what I mean? Like I kind of cleared my whole day for this.
This weekend was absolutely, in my opinion, very much so in the high, low, just crazy roller coaster that happens kind of in wrestling. Like, this is all I know. I only know AIW. I've really never been involved in anything else other than this. But the ups and downs is crazy to, like you said, getting there. And I don't want to pull the curtain back too much, but we had a great night. I feel like we did good. There was no problems, a lot of stuff going on. At the end of the night, you get a little bit, you hear it from some people, this or that. I don't know how much you want to say, but yeah, it's just a wild up and down for sure. And you deal with a lot of shit, in my opinion, to going. Then you show up Saturday morning to the flea market where the guy was just like, "Hey, you guys are here, awesome!" And were you able to get electricity? There's like one socket that we could literally plug into, like one socket for all of the audio and video stuff.
One guy like was just like so offended by everything that happened, like he wrote like this rant on Instagram
on Friday night.
No, about Saturday.
Oh, Saturday, really?
Oh, I've been thinking about checking out AIW, and it's just like, so I checked them out on Saturday, and I'm just like, oh, dude, like, and like he was offended, that like people referred to it as a flea market, and like it was just crazy.
What is it called? What do you mean? Isn't that what it's called? The Hartville Flea Market?
It was a toy convention going on. It wasn't just a flea market. And like he was mad that like the heel promos, like cut heel promo, and then like didn't understand that it was like all to get beat up by Savio Vega. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
But this guy like tagged us in this like rant and like tagged the Hartville Flea Market, and we were brought in by Haskell Toy, who was who was putting together the toy convention that was going on in the main room in there.
Yeah.
So I was like, this guy was like so mad. Like, I was like, geez, man. Like, I thought everybody was having fun.
Yeah, there was. I thought Saturday was awesome. There was a bunch of debuts, unofficial, official, whatever,
I said it because I commentated it because it's probably going to hit Patreon or something, but I was like, this isn't canon. You know what I mean? Like, this is like they'll have their official AIW debuts, but
right. I assumed, but if you were,
honestly though, a lot of people a lot of people didn't show up on Saturday morning. They went a little too hard at the first stop, and we looked around and there was a bunch of the kids that are on that list for the potential fresh meat show in the fall. And Dom was like, hey, do you care? And I said, no, I mean, it's not live, like this is
right.
This will be good for him. And like, none of them showed up anticipating to wrestle on Saturday. They were just kind of thrown into the fire on like, half hour's notice because, we started looking and, some people said they're coming, they didn't come, and like, we're like, well, we got enough guys to, if we space this out with these guys, we can really put together a good, almost 2-hour show. And that's what we did. So, I mean, it'll probably hit Patreon or something eventually, but, might not be for a while.
It was, it's like that classic #1 wrestling rule, right? Always bring your gear, always be prepared, right?
I'll tell you what, I was having so much fun, I almost told the guy, like, hey, we'll run it back at 2:30.
It kept getting, you kept saying that. We might want to leave this ring up, be ready. We want to do a 3 o'clock show. Why don't, we got
I saw the Razor Man walk into the arena, and I saw Savio Vega walk into the arena, aka the tent behind the flea market.
Yep.
And I went, well, we might have enough guys to run it back now.
We should have, man. We were there, right?
But yeah, I thought it was fun. I thought it was good, kind of wholesome fun. Nothing. A good little morale booster for the people that were there. I thought, but yeah, it was a good time. Just a crazy weekend, like you said, like ups and downs and everything in between.
To me, it was cool. I always try to, I see myself sometimes from the fan side of it because that's where I came from. And it was like for the AIW local, like hardcores, that loyals that did come to the toy convention show on Saturday afternoon. It was like, obviously, like you said, the students that wrestle, they're going to get their official debut at Fresh Meat, but that's like a little sneak peek. Like not everyone got to see that. When they do debut, you'd be able to say, "Hey, I saw him. Saw him at that flea market show too." I thought personally that they all showed a lot on Saturday, and I'm excited because I don't get to go to practice. I don't get to see. I'm not at the school, so I don't really see where anyone's at. But I see all these students, and you start seeing the same faces over and over again for so long, yada yada. And it was cool to finally see some of the students really get in there and get some action.
Yeah, and like Dom has kind of been on the fence about if we're going to do Fresh Meat again this year, because he wasn't sure if we'd have enough. And Saturday I was like, dude, like we got to do it. You know what I mean? Like these guys they all did great. And like they're only going to be better by September. So that's I think it's on, and like that's just one of those happy accidents again in wrestling to where like I saw it and I was like, wow, like that was unique, that needs a little bit of work, but it's still good. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, because I don't go all the time either, but like to see the full presentation of some of them, I thought that was, I thought it was good for me too to see and say, you know what, I think we are going to do this Fresh Meat.
Yeah, I think easily could do a show. We had almost 4 different matches of undebuted students, whatever you want to call them, where it wasn't even like you put them in a multi-man match. They could all been doing they could all be doing singles match. They all seemed ready to me.
Yeah, they all did singles matches, I think, on Saturday. So, yeah, we'll see. But yeah, like just crazy weekend. Just one of those wild pro wrestling weekends. Like things just get thrown at us, and like we gotta adapt and evolve and work through it. And I was terrified about that big room on Friday night. It was a dream come true, but I was terrified because it is big.
Yeah, I knew your first reaction. I knew because I asked you too, but I knew you were gonna be like, oh fuck, you know what I mean? Because you had even said it wasn't the asylum room, whatever that we're calling it upstairs in Masonic, wasn't selling as fast as the first one did, right, and as quickly. So you were already worried, but then to be thrown into a space that's 3 times the size of it, I knew you were going to be
Well, they contacted me on like Wednesday, and they're like, you guys only have 100 tickets sold.
Wow, really?
I was like, fuck. You know what I mean? Because last time we were sold out like days in advance. You know what I mean? With like 500. It was like 500 something.
Yeah.
So like they were like, like, hey, like what the fuck? But then like I got but then they were like, they saw the Raw thing somehow. They're like, but that Monday Night Raw thing was super cool. And I was like, this is a weird email. I
think that one guy that we had talked to who said he'd really pushed for us to be in that room, he's the one who saw the Raw thing, I think. The one guy.
He's the head guy. He's the guy. He's the guy.
Okay.
He's the head guy. But then, like, I get an email Friday at, like, 12:30. And it was like, hey, give me a call. Some stuff has to change, but it's all good news. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Like, what is this?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I was like, what are they going to do? Like, fucking put us in the parking lot or something? You know what I mean? Like, I was like, what the fuck does this email mean? So, like, I waited like a good 5 minutes, and I'm just like, what is about to happen? You know what I mean? Because, like, you just never know. And I called him, and he's like, hey, you know, we've been doing some renovations, and, like, one of the contractors or something, like, accidentally drained all the Freon out of the AC unit.
Yeah. Yeah, because they were going to be demoing some stuff, and, you know, I guess that's, like, part of it, but... You know, they did it a day earlier or something like that. He kind of explained it to me.
And he was like, so we're going to put you guys in the big room for the same deal, and because it's going to stay cooler in there because it's a lot of people can spread out. And I'm like, okay, like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, we have 100 tickets sold in a fucking like 3,000 seat space, you know, but then he's like, it'll be cool. And like, the tickets like started going on Thursday a little bit. Cause I could say like, cause that's all they told us is like, hey, you guys have 100 tickets sold on Wednesday. But then like Pedro and I, we just have to like look at the Ticketmaster website and go like, okay, how many rows can we get 8 tickets? And then you start like doing this like weird math equation based on like the ticket availability on the Ticketmaster website. Mm-hmm. And then like we had it figured out that it was down to like 14 premium tickets, but like GA, you have no idea. So we're just like, okay, you know, we're like doing that math. If we can move this and do this. And, you know, we're like, it should be, if we can fill those seats, we'll just like darken it or not let anybody in the big seats or whatever. You know what I mean? And then, like we started setting everything up, and he's like, they're trying to like get the ticket list, and like, oh yeah, you know, you guys got about 400 pre-sold now. I was like, what the fuck happened? You know, like, but I put that, once they told us, I put out like a big like call to action. Yeah. And it did, I guess, you know, convince some people, because like the ticket sales like shot up like crazy Friday afternoon when we said we're going to be in the big room.
Yeah, because I emailed you. He goes, I was standing there with him talking to him, and he was trying to email you the ticket manifest thing of like what's sold, what's left, yada, yada. And at first he thought I was you, and I was like, oh no, John's not here yet, you know, blah, blah, and explain, you know, told him who I was. And he goes, oh yeah, I remember I walked with you and the other guy, you know, Pedro, the other owner guy. Oh, I just paid, whatever. I said, so yeah, I talked to him. He goes, he couldn't pull up your email for some reason. So that's when I texted you, and he goes, oh, I got it, here it is. And he sent it over. He goes, yeah, I think you're at like 400 something right now. And I went, oh fuck, I thought they told me like, you know, because you had said we hadn't sold them, and I was like, holy fuck, 400. Okay, like, all right.
Yeah, like it was all in those like, you know, if you ask me, it's probably all Friday afternoon, like a huge number of it. So then like I got there, and like you're looking, and it's just like, fuck, like this room is massive. But then like when we started getting set up, you know, in the like the ring takes up like that, like the ring takes up so much space in the pit. Yeah. And then like, you know, we started setting up the chairs, and I was like, so how many extra chairs on the floor? And Pedro's like, none. This is what we've sold. And it was full. You know what I mean? Like it looked good on the floor. And he's like, so all GA is going up into the, you know, these stands. And he's like, we're just like, once we figured out how we're going to shoot it, like we just started saying like, you know, like having our, like we're going to have our guys try to like push people over to one side at first. And it ended up like looking decent in there, you know, like after people started getting in there, and like,
yeah, it filled in.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, you know, like they get, like, I don't know, like, so last time, like, we did all the door sales, but, like, this time they kind of set up their own little, like, cutoff to do the door sales, you know? Mm-hmm. So, like, I don't know if they're, like, I don't know if there's any skimming going on or whatever. You have to just assume that in a music venue. But, like, I would say, you know, like, we probably had 500-ish in there all said and done on Friday night. And it looked pretty decent, and like he was kind of like, yeah, like, because when I first met with him, they told me a huge amount of money to run a show in there, and then like he was like, hey, this looks pretty cool in here. Maybe you guys just do it in here every time. And I'm like, dude, that's up to you, you know, like,
right.
And like I think like I walked out into the lobby, and the fucking bar line was so fucking long, and I was like, oh. This is why this guy is like, yeah, maybe we do it in here all the time, you know, because like people were fucking drinking on Friday, and like that's what like when people are drinking, like venues get a little bit more like, hey, maybe we should do this again, you know what I mean? Like, so that's why like that certainly helps, you know, like and I'll tell you what, man, we had a ton of people I have never seen in my life in the crowd on Friday night.
Yeah, I was going to say, a couple people had mentioned that. Do you think that has, I mean, it's got to be a kick from the Monday night thing, right? I mean,
it could be Monday night. It could be the social media ads. I mean, it could be a lot of stuff.
The kick from Monday and then the subsequent, like, a bunch of people tweeting or Facebooking, Instagram, hey, this is the company he was talking about. So, like, you know, right. It's hard to ask your fans to do that every single day of every single week of all this to try and recruit new people. You know, that kind of thing is hard. But when you have such a big kick like that, you got to feel like some of those newbies, it had to have come from that, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, it was just like, fuck, like, you know, like, I was terrified it was going to just look abysmal, you know? I was like...
Yeah. You were very worried.
Once, like, people got in there, it actually looked fucking pretty sick. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, the top was empty, but, like, they darkened the room. So, like, it didn't look that bad, and everybody had, like, space to spread out, you know? So, like, I think people liked that in there, you know?
Yeah.
He was just, like, the guy was just kind of like, I think people had a much more enjoyable experience in this room because they were, you know, packed into the gills upstairs. And he's like, you know, even if you're not filling it, like, it's still a considerable amount of people. They're drinking. The fans are always well behaved. That is the one thing that he just, and, you know, we have to put the fan base over for this. He is so impressed about how well behaved the fans are.
Yeah.
He just can't believe it. Like, you know, he's like, we can get 100 people in here for a rock show, and there's going to be 15 fights. You know what I mean? He's like, you guys got 500 people in here, and I don't even know if I even have to pay my security guys. You know what I mean? They're just sitting around doing nothing.
Yeah.
You know, like, so he was like, that is one thing that has certainly helped this relationship is like how well behaved everybody is. You know, at the first one and now this one, he was very happy with, and we had like a decent meeting at the end of the night because you know, like we have J-Lit on the books there, and you know, he's talking about doing J-Lit in the big room, you know. And one thing he did say though is like, you know, with Notice, he said that, you know, a lot of people ran up onto those tables, you know, because like we didn't have any notice. He said like those, you know, they would, because they do all the ticketing. You know, he said they would sell those as a premium ticket. So what we were talking about doing is maybe we kill our stage seats, and then like those seats become those, you know, those premium seats, essentially those seats in that weird kind of like mezzanine, you know what I'm talking about? Like,
absolutely, yeah.
I know, like Jonah was sitting there, and a couple other people grabbed tables.
Yeah, it's definitely some of the most prime seating, I would have to think, in that whole building. I think a lot of the like seats, even up where we pushed GA and all that, was really rad for site-wise and all that. But to have a table right there and stuff, and I mean, I would think even some of those bigger shows, they probably even run like bar service to those people. Right. But I don't think we would do that. But I'm just saying, like, that's what that seating, that is like some VIP shit.
Right.
It was really rad for sure. But that it is big shouts to the fans though for not acting like pieces of shit, because hey man, you know, if we get nice thing, you know, you don't ruin shit, you know, don't ruin shit, and we get to have nice things. That's great. I big shouts to the fans for that, absolutely. But I even kind of said we were all joking about that, and me, Pedro, Tom Dunn, we were all standing around and we were talking to the main guy, and he had just started getting some of the security guys there. and they were talking about where they wanted to do the ticketing and cut off and this and that because the box office and this and that, and that's when they started talking about, well, we really never have no problems. And I said, that's, wrestling fans, man, they're not there to start shit with everybody else. We go and watch the fighting in the ring, and then we go home and have a few, no one, I've been coming for how many years? And like I said, I think we talked about this at the show. I've been coming for like 8 years now. I have never seen any type of like altercation ever between like fans, and not one time.
Yeah. So they were really happy with everything. I mean, I thought that just the environment, I mean, it just felt so big, you know what I mean, for a show that,
yeah,
like, I don't know if anybody was really counting this show or whatever, but like, obviously it was a slow starter, and it seems like it was a slow starter with a lot of our people that come a lot, and no Cardona on the card, there's a lot of things, and like for people to come out like that, and like they were fucking hot for everything all night. Like, it was like such a great atmosphere Friday night.
I don't know about a slow starter. Mance brought out a goddamn axe to start the show.
Well, I meant a slow starter as far as ticket sales.
Oh, right, okay. I was gonna say that sucker was hot start to finish, in my opinion.
Well, no, like I was like, we're coming right out of the gate with Dom versus Mance. Like, I was just like, that's just the way that we're gonna come out of the gate. Like, that was always gonna be the plan. Yeah. But like tickets were slow. Tickets were a little slow starting. So like, I don't know if people were kind of like, counting this card out or whatever, and then like decided like to come when they found out, there's going to be all this space available and seating available. But man, it was, like I was really worried, and I thought that everybody went fucking balls to the wall every match. Everything was cool. The girl 4-way was wild. Like, oh yeah. So like there was so much great stuff on the show, and like everything just felt big, and like it felt like, man, like, this is how it should be. A fucking cool ass big venue in downtown Cleveland. Like, everybody being loud and rowdy and drinking. It was awesome.
The view, everything, just the building we were in, the room, everything. But to put the women's match over big time here, I mean, with Joss, we've had a lot of people, like you always say, she's the A tier of the women's division and all that. We've had a lot of people clamoring for the belt to come back. That's even part of the questions that we get later. This AIW women's division belt, never before, more than now, however you want to say it. After that match on Friday, everybody has been talking about, where is this belt? Look at how many women are in this division, and really showing. I mean, that women's match was awesome. That 4-way killed it, and it was a big topic of that, and then that match definitely was the reason for it. So.
Yeah, and I think it was just one of those things where I was just like, we've been. That's the one thing that people don't like. Like we have some very critical fans, I guess. You'll say at certain times. And like, they don't understand that like it's all part of a ride. You know what I mean? Like, people were getting very critical. Like, Jocelyn just beats people. Jocelyn just beats people. Jocelyn just beats people. You guys don't do anything with Ziggy. Like, it's all part of the fucking plan. And like, sometimes people don't want to just sit back and watch the plan, And like, this has been in the works for quite some time. And, obviously, if you haven't fucking figured it out, it's going to be Jocelyn versus Ziggy at Absolution. Like, that is going to be a match at Absolution. Like, we set up a lot of stuff that's going to happen at Absolution on Friday night. And like, this is just one of those long, slow burning stories that like, I don't know if people were even catching the little fucking breadcrumbs along the way, this past year.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's people, if they don't know now, I was surprised we didn't get more questions on stuff like that. But yeah, if people don't know now where we're heading with a lot of this, then I think you need to go back and hit the Fight Plus and watch these matches back a little bit closer. And I think the plan has, all things are starting to finally come to fruition here.
Yeah, so I mean, like just stuff like that, and like Becca has been somebody that, I've seen a lot of, over the last year. She's been someone we've been wanting to bring in. She has Ohio roots. I believe she was born here and has family here. So, she's super athletic. Pretty much East Coast based, Boston based, starting to get out a little bit. And we were able to work something out. And I just thought like a 4-way, on the show with no rules was going to give, the girls a super, a super big platform. Especially when, I don't think people were realizing that like we were going to interweave a story there at the end.
Yeah, and I mean, Katie Arquette too, man, talking about no rules, man. She had a fucking lump on her head that was bleeding like crazy. That was a wild match, dude.
That was all accident, and like she just rolled with it, and
yeah,
she's doing okay, and she's a trooper. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah,
she got cut hard way, and like just kept going, and played into it, and like she came back, and like we had Jeremy and Patty came back there, and they patched her all up, and fucking Katie Arquette was at the after party at the end of the night, like just a total trooper.
Yeah, it was wild. That's for sure. That was a wild match. Kaplan versus the Barbarian, in my opinion, lived up to the hype. That was a fucking wild one. For a guy,
I think Kaplan knocked him out while Barbarian was delivering a move to him. Like,
dude,
how about that?
He brought it for a 60-year-old man, a 64-year-old man. That's for friggin' sure. That is for sure.
I talked to him for 5 seconds. I didn't know where he was because here's another thing about this building is like it is A+ accommodations when you're in the big room. There was like 4 fully furnished dressing rooms, private bathrooms, private showers for everybody. I mean, it's like it's set up for huge touring bands, and like it was just like there were some people I saw them when they walked in, I never saw them again. Like it's just a maze down there.
Yeah, it was really cool. We saw all those rooms the last time, and that's kind of what they had said too. Goes, yeah, if you ever open the big room, you can utilize all these green room spaces. And with the wrestlers, I'm sure everyone will like that because you get a little space to change, kind of do to be by yourself, that, and there is just rooms upon rooms in that building. It was funny too because I had texted a few people in the one group chat, the PVD group chat, and I said, oh, they're going to be in the big room now, and Brian had asked like, how many rooms does the place have? And I said, showrooms. So listen to this too, because they told us this. I guessed 7 or 8. I think there's like 7 or 8 showrooms. I go, logistically, there's probably literally like 60 rooms in the fucking building overall because there's rooms everywhere. Green rooms, dressing rooms, bathrooms, all this crazy shit. But you know what they told me? You can have 17 simultaneous events in that building. 17.
I know. It's crazy. Like, so me and Matt Justice did a tour of this building like years ago trying to get in there, and it was when a different guy was in charge of it, and it was under different management, and all it just didn't work out. But he gave us a tour, and like he showed us 4 rooms or whatever. And then I know you and Pedro got the extensive tour after the last one.
Yeah.
But dude, so like we went down one more level from the levels that the green rooms and the showers and stuff were on from the big room.
Yeah.
And there's a full-on gymnasium, like huge room in the basement. That's like a show, like a venue.
We
like
saw that one. Yeah, that was the one that reminded me of like Brook Park Rec. Like when you stand up on that track on the Brook Park Rec and you look down into
because there's balconies down there, and like it was huge,
spooky as all hell. That's for sure.
Yeah. Fucking New Kenny Andy, he thought he saw a ghost and ran out of there all spooked.
Several people were talking about ghosts and things like that. Shaw Mason was like, kept really wanting to go down to different rooms. He was like, come with somebody, come with me. I ain't trying to wander around by myself. And I was like, yeah, I probably wouldn't be wandering around by myself either.
Shaw Mason, God love him. He was like, I would love to go on a tour of this place. And I was like, you're fucking doing one right now. Like, what are you talking about? You go walk around.
No one's stopping you, dude. Go ahead.
Oh yeah.
That's great.
I was like, go walk around, dude. Like, he's like, yeah, it'd be cool to like pay to go on a tour. And I'm like, you're in the fucking building right now. Go walk around. Like, why would you pay for that?
Right? He was cracking me up on Saturday at the toy convention. He had that shopping cart merch going. He was rocking it. He had all his stuff in the cart. There was no tables. He said, "Well, I'm gonna stick it in this cart and try and sell some T-shirts."
I gotta bury Shawn Mason a little bit because I heard this story on Saturday morning. So people are like, hey, you know, on Friday night they're like, hey, can I get a XL? And he's like, oh fuck, I can't. He's going through his shit, and he's like, fuck, I don't know. And he's like undoing them all and doing all this shit. So it turns out that, you know how you like fold and roll shirts for merch or whatever, so like they travel better. So he did all that, and what he did is he put pipe cleaners around every shirt. So like every color is supposed to represent a size. So like blue is this color, blue is this size, red is this size, yellow is this size. But he forgot to write down his color code key. So like he went through the trouble of doing all this, and then he forgot what each color represented. So then he ended up having to undo them all anyway.
Oh no. Well, at least was he able to sell the shirt? Did he find an XL or what?
I don't know. I mean, I heard he was pretty flustered when he was looking for whatever size they were looking for. So I don't know if the guy stuck around for the sale or not.
Pipe cleaner. I've never heard that one. It's always masking tape with the size written on the masking tape, so it's easily visible.
Tell Shawn Mason that little trick, because the pipe cleaner trick is not working out.
Oh, he listens. Don't worry. He's hearing this right now.
But, you know, you also, on the flip side of that, you got to put him over. He pulled a huge crowd on Friday night. Wes Barkley pulled in a huge amount of people. Austin James. I mean, there was Brian Carson and Kaplan. They pulled in. You know, like guys were like pumped to be in that big room, and they got people out to come out and support them. So, you know, you can't discount that at all. You know, those guys all worked extremely hard to try to, you know, get people into that room on Friday night.
Yeah, oh yeah, Barkley Nation always showing out. That's awesome. Austin has been having his fans, you know, and we've said before, it's tough, you know, you debut, you get some people to come out, and then after, you know, a few matches here or there, the support starts to dwindle here or there. You know, you made the call and you said, hey, you know, all fans on deck, and you told the boys and ladies in the back, hey, you know, everybody try to really do what you can, and you like you said, you see who shows out, who brings their people, and really, you know, tries to pack the building, and we appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely, because, you know, that was just like, you know, it was an expensive show, you know, like Barbarian, Devon, you know, quite a few flights involved. So it's just like, you know, it starts kind of getting overwhelming, and, you know, you got to just kind of shout out, you know, everyone that goes above and beyond to try to get people out there. You know, Jocelyn always draws people too, you know, it's truly a team effort for everybody, for this, you know, for this train to keep going on the tracks. So, you know, and I was extremely happy, you know, that everybody did, you know, everything they could to try to get, you know, people through those doors on Friday night, because, you know, they needed it. You know, they knew that we needed it, and, you know, they don't want to wrestle, you know, in front of 50 people. Right.
Yeah, I mean, that to me, it was like, you know, it was like a trial run for us for that, you know, like, and you said like that guy he thought how great it looked in there and how cool, you know, hey, maybe we'll do this every time now. If nobody would have showed out, if everyone would have just did the bare minimum, people will show up, and no one did, we'd be back up in the upstairs room if we're lucky, you know. People have to show up. It's not just going to happen, you know what I mean? You have to make some effort, and people
it was
did.
Like,
it's great,
you know, and that's kind of what you know, Pedro was saying, because I was having like a fucking anxiety attack. Like at one point, like after I saw it, like I had to leave. Like I drove away for a little bit. Like you
went to get coffee or something, you said, right?
Yeah, but I just drove around. I didn't even get coffee. You know, I was just like, whew, like the pressure of the situation was just like overwhelming me for a minute. And I was like, I gotta just get out of here and like get my head right a little bit. And you know, Pedro's like, dude, like this is like the get out of jail free card, you know? Like,
that's what I said. Yeah.
It's just like, he's just like, who cares? You know, like we're getting, this is what we always wanted to see if we can do it. And we're getting a chance to do it at no, you know what I mean? Like no additional pressure or cost. Like it was just like a happy accident. And he's like, we got to just, you know, we got to roll with it. And like, we got to use this as the trial run. And like you said, though, if nobody would have came out, that would have been it. You know what I mean? Like it would have been over. And it was they seemed happy with it. You know, there was a couple things that we had discussed late night after the show was over that they were a little upset about, but you know, like I think no, you weren't there, but
no, I was not there, luckily for that.
But yeah, I mean, other than that, like I think all in all, they were pretty happy with everything.
Yeah. Like I said, I was gonna say, aside from that last hiccup, man, I really think, you know, and I think stuff like that, you know, it happens, and it was taken care of, to say the least. And then, you know, going forward, just have to make sure things like that don't happen. But, you know, there's hiccups and everything. There's bumps in the road. I think our bumps in the road and our hiccups was something that guy is probably going to think to himself in the future, I can live with stuff like that. I think they liked it in that room, and I think they really, you know, it worked for them and was cool. And I think they're going to want to do it going forward as well. I mean, no promises, you know, obviously, but yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, like I said, hey, you know, we would love to do it if you would love to do it. And, you know, I kind of left it. I said, you know, but it's your space, you know what I mean? And like, I'm not gonna push it, you know, because what I was told initially we could never afford to do. So, you know, like, but if they want to put it in there under the same kind of, you know, parameters, and you know, they really want, you know, our fans in there, you know, drinking and stuff like that, you know, because that's a big, you know, that is a big part of the deal, is, you know, that we do bring out, you know, fans that are behaved and fans that drink. You know, those are like two, like, you know, gold stars next to our names or whatever. So
it's hard to have both, really. It really is hard to have both.
Right. So, you know, like, I kind of left it like, hey, you know, we would love to do it if you love to do it. Obviously, you know, if some tour is coming through and they say, hey, we want this date, like, they're gonna fucking go, you know, with you know, the Dropkick Murphys or something, you know what I mean, and kick us back upstairs. But you know, until, you know, as of now, I think that they are going to put us in the big space for J-Lit. So, you know, this is just everybody's seen the schedule, you know, so if we're like, it's going to be another calling all cars situation, you know. And like I said, I don't know if we're going to do a weekend pass or something. We may just do a la carte, or you know, we have to sit down and figure that out, because, you know, if we got to do, like, you know, the higher the grand total ticket is, you know, say for a weekend pass, like, the higher the fees are. So we may just go a la carte to kind of keep that aspect of everything down. But, you know, Pedro and I are going to have a conversation, and, you know, we're kind of looking into names and different things we can do to try to pack it, you know, like, it's going to be a task for sure, but I'm just so happy with, you know, the fans that did come out and support, and it just crazy that we were able to pull it off, and it didn't look awful.
Yeah, and I haven't watched it all back yet, but I've seen a lot of clips of it, and it looks great. I think it was shot really well. Shouts to the production guys, and, you know, Chase and Caleb, all the guys who shot it. Ethan, I think Zay was out there.
Jeff, new student Jeff, who, I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, I met him Friday, and then Saturday as well. He was there Saturday too.
Yeah, so, you know, he kind of stepped in a little bit. So, you know, Caleb, everybody, you know, if you've seen it on, you've seen it on our socials, like, do those free votes for Caleb to skateboard with Tony Hawk. He's, like, moved on to, like, the next round, and he's real close to winning the whole thing. So, be on the lookout for that.
Dude, I love it.
Caleb is, like, the best fucking kid on earth, and anything that our collective reach could do to help him would be great, because he does a ton for AIW behind the scenes. You know, whatever Chase isn't doing, Caleb is, you know, next man up doing it all too.
Mm-hmm. I love it too. I listened to his podcast, and he talked about today how he went to a concert, and he lists them off by what songs they are on the Tony Hawk games. So, like, he went to, like, he really loves Tony Hawk. Let's just say, go ahead and feel confident giving him your vote, because he really likes Tony Hawk.
So yeah, just be on the lookout for all that, because you know, he deserves it. You know, he's a real good kid, and everybody, is everybody's pulling for him. So I'm just I wanted to throw that out there. Also, you know what I mean? Before we forget, we got to shout out the Exchange, who re-upped their sponsorship. Sick Things Clothing, really came through with some sponsorship dollars a Friday night as well. So, you know what I mean? Like, all that stuff helps. And First Stop. We got to talk about First Stop. Because First Stop, they came through with, a sponsorship. They threw down some sponsorship money for Friday night. To get the rights to the after party, but that was a fucking wild after party. I mean, I know people were like, "Oh, we don't go to the after parties ever since they left fucking Good Company or the Funhouse." Dude, the First Stop after party it was like a high school party. I was like, this is like a fucking high school party.
Yeah,
like,
people were hammered.
People were outside. Like, there must have been 100 people just outside the bar. The cops showed up like a high school party, and like everyone ran inside. Like, it was crazy. It was fucking. It was crazy. Like Paul London and Kaplan speaking for like 2 straight hours just by themselves outside may have been like, I wish we had like a boom mic for that conversation, because Kaplan and Paul London have become like fast best friends, and that's like the best part about AIW is like just seeing that friendship form.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like Paul London is the fucking best. He's one of these guys that I wish could just be like an all the time AIW roster member. Like, basically like how Tom became. Like, he would just be around every once in a while, and then before you know, he's on like every show. Paul London is the absolute best. Did you find yourself giving like the brother handshake, like how he's doing, where you grab like the forearm to forearm like that? How he's doing that to everybody?
You know what he says? Why he says he does that?
So, checking for knives.
Checking for knives. Yeah. I'm checking for knives.
Fucking legend, bro.
He's the funniest human. He's the funniest human on earth. He's so fucking funny.
Great guy.
And like him and Kaplan just being best buddies at the after party is even fucking funnier.
Yeah,
but Paul London shut it down. He was like one of the last people to leave the First Stop.
We gotta get a podcast after party. You gotta put him on J-Lit or something, so we can get I'll be the moderator of those two, and I'll just throw some topics out to him or something. We just let those two go crazy.
He's like just so interested. He's like, this guy makes jerky. He's like,
yes. Well, Kaplan is an interesting guy, but Paul London is also a really interesting guy. But them two together is just this dynamic that is incredible.
But then he's like, what? He's like, he like develops like a murder mystery about it. He's like, what's the missing person situation like in his neighborhood? And like he's like, he starts questioning Kaplan. It's so funny.
The jerky's turning jerky from the people.
Oh, that's just great. Fucking so funny. But yeah, First Stop was just crazy, and like
it was. It wasn't hard to get a drink. Like, for how crowded it was, they had a lot of bartenders. I really got to put them over for that. It was not like, we've been to some bar after.
They had a lot of bartenders, and they like reserved spaces for us.
Yeah.
Which was super cool. So, I know a lot of the boys like Dive Bar. I like going to Dive Bar. But maybe First Stop might be the spot for the Cleveland area shows, because, I mean, they went above and beyond, and it was fun. It was cheap.
Yeah.
The most expensive drink, Parker Pierce told me, the most expensive drink on the menu is $7.
Wow. That rocks. Yeah, it was a good time, definitely.
They had food going pretty late.
Food was going, yep.
So, I mean, it was
rough for how much fun we were having to have to be up the very next morning. And the rough thing about Hartville is, man, I know where you live too. Like, that shit was like an hour and 10 minutes for me.
Oh,
it was a
far,
hike
dude.
The next morning.
It was far. I did the pro move, and I ordered DoorDash before I left First Stop. So I got home, and the DoorDash was on my porch, and I ate, and then like I set my alarm, and I passed out, and I got like, I don't know, 4 hours of sleep. The rallies was working its magic to counteract the pending hangover that was developing in my body.
Oh yeah.
And then I got up, I took a shower, I grabbed some coffee, and then shot down to Hartville. And I mean, I didn't make it there as early as you, but I was there about 10:30, which was I was happy with, because like, I mean, fucking Ted, Big Ted, shout out to Big Ted. He gets the fucking rounds of shots going.
Oh yeah, we were doing green teas or whatever. Yeah,
it's just like, oh brother, you know, like that shit just starts fucking creeping up on you, you know, like.
Oh yeah.
So I was happy with the shape that I was in Saturday morning at the flea market. Duke was like, you get one or the other, brother. He's like, you get the after
there was
party.
an ultimatum, yeah.
It was an ultimatum. He was like, you get the after party or you get me wrestling in Hartville. What's it going to be? And like, I was like, well, you know, if it means you're not going to wrestle, I'll take you at the after party. So then he went to the after party and he got all fucked up. And then like Dom was like doming out on him. He's like, you're on the fucking flyer. You got to be there. And like he was trying to call off the Dom and Dom was not having it. He's like, you're on the fucking flyer. You're fucking wrestling tomorrow.
He had to be there, though. I mean, he gave an incredible promo. Who's going to be there to talk shit to some of these people? Like, he's the bad guy. He was in rough shape. Shit.
He was in rough shape, though.
Oh,
he was in rough shape Saturday morning because he was hitting whiskeys all night at the first stop.
Yeah. That's a tough one. I'm glad I got there as early as I did. I struggled immensely. But I mean, like, you
were out there, and like you were out there. Like, the last time I saw you at the first stop, you were out in the orbit, brother. Like I was just like, whoa, yeah. Pat has left the building.
It happens sometimes, but there is no calling off for me. I mean, like, I have to be there. That's like it. You're done. Goodbye. No, don't come anymore. You know what I mean? So I'm like, I gotta make it. I gotta get there. And I'm glad I did get it as early as I did because as I was setting everything up. The surge protector, like I said, we literally had one outlet that was locked with a padlock. We had one like surge protector that was already plugged into it as it was locked. So they basically, like, here you get one strip of electricity, and it would only go so far. So I had a plug going. I had my surge protector sitting on the table, and it got pulled off the table somehow, and the power source to my mixing board somehow broke in falling. I don't know. It wasn't like cracked or busted into pieces, but it just for whatever reason would not power on. So I couldn't use my mixing board. So I had to go through all the crap in my, all the different, I don't know. I rigged a bunch of stuff together to make it work, and it worked. And the Duke even made fun of me because we ended up using wired mics. I just had a 100-foot XLR, and we ran a wired mic into the ring. And he made fun of me. He said, "What is this, 1990? Wired mics? Jesus Christ!" But we had a mic and we had sound, so that's all that really. After the orbit that I was in Friday night, I was pretty proud of myself.
Yeah, it was great. And then Savio coming over and like remembering he did J-Lit a couple of years ago and give me a big hug, and like I hooked him up with a Canada tour a couple weeks ago. Like a promoter asked me for his number and I had it, and like he ended up getting like 4 dates out of it, and like he thanked me for that. Like I didn't expect him to know, you know what I mean? Like I didn't expect him to remember any of that. I just assume guys like that just forget. But he remembered, and then he was like super interested in like our production setup, and like he's talking to Chase Oliver, and he's like, I got that, for TV in Puerto Rico, and I do this, and like he was like getting super into it, and like seeing what we do and taking pictures of our stuff and like, asking Chase for advice. It was like turned out to be such a weird fucking day. It
almost looked like he jumped on commentary at one point. I thought maybe I saw him with the headphones on, but I didn't know if he was just talking to you. Okay,
he did at the end, and like he was like putting us over, and it was really funny because he was like putting us over, and he's like, "Oh fuck, what's the name of the company?" I was like, AIW. He's like, "They're the best." It was really funny.
That's great.
It was so funny, but yeah, I mean, it was a good day. All the flea marketing afterwards. If you're down in Hartville, I mean, or anywhere in that area, you got to check out the Hartville Flea Market, even when we're not there. It is a sight to behold.
Oh, it was incredible.
The Hastel Toys. I don't know if you found his little section in there, but he has so much fucking wrestling shit.
Oh yeah. There was
a
lot of wrestling stuff in there.
Yeah,
not just his.
Just a crazy amount of wrestling stuff down there. Just super rare and weird items, like super cool. And you can also buy a gun in there if you want. So,
dude, not only that, but the food that was in there. They have some incredible stuff. They have a deli. They have a bunch of hot foods. Like there is some incredible.
They have like farm to table, like they have a farm to table like meat butcher shop in there. Which would like look. I mean, you know, you'd be like, I'm not buying my meat from a flea, but it was like a legit, like fucking straight from a farm. It was like, you know, for Clevelanders, it was like West Side Market style.
Right, that's what I was going to say. We keep saying flea market, but Hartville is like a big building that stays there all the time, so it's essentially like their West Side Market.
Yeah, it's
you know
like
what I mean? It's called the flea market, but yeah.
They call it the marketplace, but then there's like a flea market outside, but it was just like, it was, and they had like all kinds of like food in there. I got like a pizza roll thing. It was pretty good.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was quite the day. I'll say that, and quite the weekend, honestly.
I know. I feel like we didn't even really, we've been doing this. We're an hour into this, and I feel like we didn't even really get to cover much of the card on either day.
All right. I mean, we
bits
got
and pieces.
We got nothing but time, right? We're doing this every week again. We're trying.
That's true. We got a couple weeks until our next event, which is Absolution on July 15th. So yeah, hey, maybe this next, and we are talking about getting together, getting a panel together to do some review shows as well too. So, and that wouldn't be bad to get. We'll have a couple shows in a row to discuss. So if you want to hear somebody, who do you guys miss on the pod?
I think some people are talking about maybe getting together for Money in the Bank or something.
Okay.
Next weekend, so
okay,
maybe if that happens, because it's during the day, we can knock some stuff out.
Perfect.
We'll play it by ear, but yeah, I mean, it was just kind of like a hodgepodge of the weekend, a little bit of tidbits on both shows. No, nothing too crazy in depth, but yeah, just one of those weird weekends. You know what I mean? Like dream venue, waking up, tent in a flea market the next day, like. Here we go. You know what I mean? Like, just keep the train rolling.
Couple questions before we get out of here. EVP of Health, Jeremy, wanted to know, was there a student that debuted, or whatever you want to call it, on Saturday that impressed you the most? I know, all four of them, I'm pretty sure it was like four of them. They were all great. I think they all did a great job. Was there anybody that really stood out to you?
There was, but I'm not gonna be a morale killer like that for guys that haven't debuted yet.
Sure.
I thought they all did something a little unique. So what I will say is, I think that they are all going to be more than ready by the fall. That's really what impressed me the most. I mean, there was one where I went, wow, like this seems to be. The most together thing, presentation, in ring, all together. But yeah, I'm not gonna be mean to him just yet. We gotta get that official debut before I start giving him the real feedback.
Sure. What about the attendance as far as Saturday to go? Did you think, because I mean, this was obviously a paid, it wasn't like we had any idea of, a ticket sales wise. It was just kind of show up and, do what we do. Do you feel like, because I feel like we did have a lot of regulars that did show up.
Yeah, I mean, we got like a super small fee to do it. I mean, and that is why, it did end up working out to where there was, undebuted students on there and stuff like that. I mean, it was, we kind of threw it out there based on what we agreed to. It was pretty much going to cover, the U-Haul to get down there. Mm-hmm. But, we just wanted to do it to do it, just to kind of, try something out, do a little low pressure thing on a Saturday, promote Absolution in that general area a little bit. And, to be perfectly honest, Pedro was pretty mad at me about it, but I was like, it's just so funny to wrestle at a flea market. It doesn't matter that we're not getting that much money. Like, I thought it was so weird and funny and it was just going to be one of those fun things. I was like, we have to do it. You know what I mean? Like, so, but I think there's almost 200 people at one point watching. I mean, it was fucking packed in that tent at one point. People filtered in and out as it went on, but yeah, I mean, I think they want us. They certainly said when they do it again, they want us to come back, and I said, we'll see, because it's one thing to do it as a one-off kind of funny joke, but doing it again, I don't know. But I will say, a lot of people are like, man, this is like it was rivaling North Canton for like how much fun all the wrestlers had, and like,
yeah, oh yeah,
it was a good, it was like a good team building experience almost. So it might be worth it to do it again just for that. I don't know.
Okay. And the next few questions, kind of almost the same thing. Jeremy wanted to know how many ladies it would take to make an AIW women's division. And I meant like if there's an actual answer to that. But somebody also, Daniel Jones, wanted to know, is there any chance of Shayna Baszler actually handing over the AIW women's title?
Here's the thing is like, what makes it so difficult is there are so few women compared to men, so their schedules get booked up so much quicker, and they also get looks from bigger companies quicker. We've seen people, if you go between WWE, AEW, Impact, MLW, now ROH, I mean, there's a lot of spots that people are going to need filled, you know what I mean, for much more money than they can make on the indies. So, that's what really makes it difficult. It's not, and my thing is like, yes, we have 4 girls on Friday, but will you have 4 girls in November, like that are affordable clothes, like that's a whole other kind of aspect of it is girls also, make more money at this level because there are, so like if you went experience level versus experience level, a girl is almost always going to make more money than a guy. So, there's just a lot of economics involved in the whole thing. So it's really hard to answer.
Yeah.
Because, there's so many different factors as opposed to we had, what I mean? Like we had 4 girls, but I mean, like Becca is booked all the time. Katie Arquette, like we've tried to book her multiple times since you last saw her, but, she's booked in Baltimore or, she's booked, like they get booked all over, so it's really difficult to coordinate, honestly. So, I don't know, like Jocelyn has really been pushing for the belt to come back, but it's really hard. There's been multiple times where like, it's supposed to be Jocelyn versus, whoever. And then we can't find a woman for her. And then Jocelyn, is in a scramble or something, it's really difficult. I mean, look at Youngstown. Kayla Cassidy pulled out last second, and we booked a replacement, but that replacement charged like 5 times the amount of money, like last minute. So it's just like it can get very expensive. I like the way we're doing it now, to where we're still featuring. We're not forcing a belt. Because, like if you bring a belt back, like you don't have enough for a division, like you got to understand when we had a women's championship belt, we were doing girls night out. So we're doing full on women's events where, you're featuring, I don't know, like 12, 15, 20 different girls. You know what I mean? Like, that would be pretty difficult to pull together these days. And so, I don't want to just be like, okay, here's a women's match and it's for a belt. You know what I mean? To where without a belt, there's a lot more versatility when you can book women's matches. You don't have to, anybody can win at any time. Anybody can lose at any time. Anybody can wrestle anybody at any time. But it gets a little bit trickier when there's a belt. And, I know people might not see that. And people may think that it's less than because there's not a belt, but I look at it a little bit differently. I think there's a lot more creativity you can do without a belt as opposed to with a belt. So, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Like eventually you would think that things are going to cool off, but like if you look at how fast people have been signed, especially females, there has not been a chance to really replenish the scene. Like you got to think when we're doing Girls Night Out, like
Oh, I don't even think you could do it today. I don't think you could. I don't know.
Like the amount of talent that was out and available was just incredible, and like I tell people, this all the time. I won't say it, but I'll say, Sarah Del Rey charged this much money. Like for that much money, you can't really get many girls at any level right now. You know what I mean? Like it's just the economics and all that have just changed so much, and like it's really difficult. So like there needs to be more of a, I mean, Shimmer doesn't even run shows anymore. You know what I mean? That was just like, that was the marquee feeding system. I don't know why they don't run shows anymore. I would assume that it's probably similar, but it's just, there's just not a ton of girls out there, and the ones that are out there is just like, they're so expensive. They're spread all over the country, and it's really difficult to kind of bring a division together right now to where I'd much rather, feature girls and not have to be so booked into a corner because there's a belt involved.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of Jossie too, you say, she's, the AIW standard, and I'm sure you give her the dates at the beginning of the year. She would probably, being an AIW hometown girl, I'm sure she would give AIW that first priority. But if you see, I mean, she wrestles all over. She's wrestled in like Jamaica and like where she went somewhere recently, like to the some islands or something. Like she gets booked all over now too.
Yeah, she was in New York like this weekend.
Yeah, so I mean, even her is getting harder and harder the bigger she gets, and the more that she's out everywhere. It's even harder to book her in a sense. Like I said, I'm sure she gives AIW priority, but eventually there'll be a time could come to a time where what I mean. Some of these places she's going to wrestle, they offer a decent amount of money, and
and that's
you're not
where
going to make somebody turn that down,
and like for somebody like Jocelyn, it's like that's where she's going to make her money. You know what I mean? Like she's obviously doing AIW for a reduced deal or whatever. You know what I mean? She helps train. She she comes to work out at the school. Like there's different factors involved in that, but you know what I mean? Like you said, like if she's going to get the full rate offer, you know what I mean? It's hard to say no to that.
Right.
Like it's hard for a lot of girls, like it's hard for, it's business, so it's like, to me, like, I think it's better to feature girls and not have to worry about a championship belt, like to where they can just go out and kind of ball out and do everything they can to showcase themselves. And, sometimes someone can win, someone can lose. It does, like it matters, but it doesn't matter, to where like, when you're booking a belt, it's like such a different mentality and mindset. And like, I look at all these companies that do have women's belts, and it's just like, champion girl wrestles this girl that's never wrestled here before. And then the next show, she wrestles this girl that's never wrestled here before, and like beats her and beats her and beats her. It's just all very predictable. And to me, that's not booking a division. That's just having a belt, and, that's kind of where I'm at, is like, I don't think that we could pull off a division right now. So like, that's why there's not a belt. And, if things change and there's this kind of influx of independent women's wrestlers that, you know what I mean? Like that, and it's doable, you know what I mean? It's like, it's another thing. Like, fans don't take into consideration, like, wrestler X, like Becca, that's a flight, that's a hotel, you know what I mean? That's a lot more money. She's great, very talented, but when you're booking a division and you got, eight girls that are all fly-ins plus hotels, like it's just, it gets very expensive. And, I don't know how much traveling wrestling fans are doing, but, if you take a look, it's not cheap. You know what I mean? Like the average price of a hotel in the Cleveland area is like $170 right now.
Yeah.
Which is, it's crazy.
Well, that was kind of it for questions. Anything else you want to hit before we get out of here, Thorne?
No, I mean, just super happy with the weekend. I hope that, we can build off what we did, pack Absolution, and then, pack the J-Lit weekend. Those are kind of the two marquee things that are coming up. And, we're going to have Wrestle Rager kind of in the middle there, but I'm not worried about selling Wrestle Rager. That show pretty much sells itself at this point. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
But Absolution and Jaylit are the two kind of big things on the horizon that we're working on right now. And I just you gotta thank the fans. You gotta shout out the fans. You know what I mean? That came out and helped us out. It was truly a dream come true for me to do a show in that room. I've thought about it since 1998. I just thought it was just the coolest room I've ever seen pro wrestling in ever. Even when ECW moved to the Agora, I thought it sucked in the Agora. I always thought that was the best room for pro wrestling that was available in the city. And it's always been that way. I've always thought that way since I saw it. Chandler used to think that way. Myself and Wadsworth, we went and saw ECW in that room, and we were trying to figure out where our seats were. And it was cool. We talked to Devon because the Dudleys beat RVD and Sabu in that building for the ECW tag titles. So just super kind of full circle moment for me. Seriously a dream come true. And if that becomes the new Cleveland home venue, fuck, man. I know we're not going to fill it every time, but if we can keep pulling the way that we pulled it, and they're happy with us, that would just be, I don't even know how to describe it. I would have never have dreamed of that ever in my life.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, if you weren't there, or even if you were, go check the replay on Fight Plus. Definitely interested to see how it looked on camera. I thought the building, like you said, is an incredible building. So, go check that replay. Let's get the replay numbers up. Let's get those ABSO tickets going. Eric Bischoff, July 15th. We'll see you there, right?
I hope. I'll be there. I know you'll be there. I hope people will be there. You know what I mean?
I think the Tadmore will be rocking on July 15th. I think
tickets are looking pretty decent right now.
What kind of premium seats we got left?
We got I think we got 10 second row, 23rd row, and I just opened up a 4th row because it looks like those second and thirds are going to be gone pretty soon.
Okay, well, you heard it. Get those tickets for ABSO. We'll see everybody there. For AIW, for John Thorne. We'll see everybody next time. Thanks.